Yes, it is
Yes,
fine.
it is.
All right, thank you. Thank you for confirming. So I think some students are still joining, but I think we can start. It's 4:31. So, so this year I think we have around 100 students, which is a lot, and it's actually good. And we don't have to worry because it's online. We don't have to look for a bigger room for the capacity. So before we start, all the lectures will be recorded. All right. So, and these lectures will be provided for later revision as well. But this is just like something we have to show earlier. Okay. And the other point I want to mention is whenever you have a question, whether we are discussing something or I'm like covering some topic, if you have any question, just let me know. So you don't have to wait like to end the lecture for the end of the lecture. You can interrupt me in between and that will be perfectly fine. Okay. So before we start the lecture today, let's go through some of the administrative details. This is the course website, and I think this link was also provided in the syllabus, so you might have access to this. But in any case, let me just walk you through this website. So can you see my screen, the browser?
Yes.
All right, great. Yeah, it's good if you use the mic because otherwise I have to click the chat and look there. All right, thank you. So this is the course website and you should have the link, all the details here. And so, like the lectures are like Tuesday and Thursdays, 4:30 to 5:45. So we meet twice a week. Zoom instructions. So you can go through all the details in case I miss any of these details in the lecture today. The content which we are going to cover, I will briefly talk about this. So the prerequisite, I think I should go through this. You should have a basic knowledge of probability and statistics and a good working knowledge of Python. Okay, so this could be a bottleneck because we have seen in the past, like if someone doesn't know this Python, then he or she will have to spend a lot of time on this. So make sure you have like all these prerequisites. Linear algebra, I think all of you should have. Again, vector calculus you should have. So I'm saying this Python because this Python will be the main programming language which we are going to use. And so all the assignments will be in Python and your final course project will be in Python. So I'm saying Python because whatever tutorial we provide, it will be on Python. But that doesn't restrict you to use Python. If you want to use something else, C++ or maybe Torch or something, a different language, perfectly fine with us. But we are not going to guide you in those languages. Okay. And again, like collaboration, it's fine. You can discuss ideas and you can talk to each other. But whenever you're submitting some assignment or your homeworks, then it should be like your own original work. And of course, we will have a course project where you will collaborate with other students. You will have the option and you can have a group like I think maximum 5 students. So that is an exception to this collaboration. All right, so these are just general details. Go to them. You can check them later. So the schedule, this is a tentative schedule for this course. And I think I will go through this like when I'm covering the slides. You have the course material which you can use for this course. Of course, there is no textbook, but these are like all the references which will be really helpful for you. Okay, so grading policy, and again, I'm going to cover this later in my slides. But again, go through these like how the grades will be assigned later on, the late policy. Okay, all the submissions will be through web courses. And these project lists are like for the course project. You can select some of these, I mean, if you want, or if you have like your own project of choice, that will also be fine. Of course, you'll have to discuss with us and then we can decide like whether that's appropriate for the course or not. All right, so this is the course website. So any question regarding this course website before we start the slides? Let me go back to the slides actually. All right, so now you can see my slides, right?
Yes.
All right, great. So I think there are some questions. Just give me. Okay, a question from Joey. Are you okay with us using MATLAB? Yeah, that's perfectly fine. You can use MATLAB if you want, if you have experience. But again, you don't expect like a tutorial or something in the course about MATLAB. I mean, you're using MATLAB because you are experienced in that. Okay. So another question from Shah. Will we have recorded lectures available on the web courses? Yes. So the video lectures we will record, and the video will share the link with you, which you can watch later as well. Okay, a question from Lawrence. Some graduate courses have been based on courses from other universities, such as Stanford. Is that the case with this course? So this is not based on like course from any other university, but means you will find like some material which is taken from maybe some of the lectures, because it's like very recent. We are teaching deep learning here, so there might be some overlap, but it's not like based on some other course. Okay. All right, so let's continue. So class timing, it's Tuesday, Thursday, 4:30, 5:45, and all the lectures will be like remotely held via Zoom. And there will be office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 to 3. I will be there, and then 3 to 4, the TA will be there. And again, there is a Zoom link for this. I think I made an announcement earlier today where I shared the links both for the lecture as well as the office hours. Okay, so Tao is the TA. So Tao, are you there?
Yeah.
Hey, hi Tao. So yeah, I will meet you later as well. But so yeah, Tao is our TA for this course. Thank you, Tao, for helping us out in this course. And right now I have just assigned, so this is Tao. His office hours will be Thursdays 3 to 4, unless he is not available during this time. So this might change, but right now this is tentative. And again, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the idea is like to have this office hour just before the class, so that it's like in continuation. It's actually works out well. And again, this will be via Zoom. So for the office hours, it will be the same link. So from 2 to 3, I will be there, and from 3 to 4, Tao will be there. So you will not have a separate link for these two separate office hours. Okay. So question from Ruchia. Hopefully I said that right. Project is a team of how many students? So course project, I will come to that. Right. So the key topics which we are going to cover in this course is some preliminary in mathematics. Then we will talk about like camera models, the coordinate transformation. This will be covered like in later part of the course. So we will start with like this mathematical preliminaries, then image filtering, edge detection, feature extraction, and then we will shift gears and talk about deep learning. So we'll start with basics of neural networks, and then we'll see like how deep learning is used for computer vision, and try to understand different problems, boundary segmentation, image classification, finally object detection. And if we have time, we will also try to cover action recognition, which is on videos. Okay, so most of these things you can see like until here, we will just focus on image domain. And this last lecture, maybe previous to the last lecture, will be on videos. Okay, so not a lot of videos here. So a question from Steve. For CNN training. Okay, so this is too early. Anyways, let me finish the question. So Steve is asking, for CNN training, are we to use our own computers or expected to use specific lab resources? Or will cloud credits be available for setting up a deep learning instance? Just curious on expectations for model training. So for CNN training, we will provide you access to a GPU cluster, which we have here at UCF. So we will provide you like the credentials, your username, passwords, and you can train your models on those GPUs. They are pretty powerful GPUs, state of the art. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. So course material textbook, there will be no textbook. And these are just like reference books, which you can refer to if you're interested. And all of these are actually available online. So you don't have to purchase or like go to the library. Okay. And prerequisite, as I said, you should have a good knowledge in probability statistics, good working knowledge in Python, and of course, any other programming language is perfectly fine, but you won't receive any help from our side if you're using any other language apart from Python. And you should have a good understanding of linear algebra and vector calculus. Okay, so regarding the requirements, how you will be graded in this course, you will have a midterm, and then we will have a final exam. There will be homeworks, so these will be like given out every week, almost every week, not every week. So there will be a total of 10 homeworks. Then for your hands-on experience, we will have 2 programming assignments. So this is not a lot, but what we will try to do is we'll try to cover like some key concepts via these programming projects. And ideally, if the ideal scenario is when we do programming assignment for all the topics which we are doing, but actually we're trying to cover a lot of topics, so that's not feasible. So we'll choose like some of them, and then there will be a final course project. And again, this you can choose either from the list which we have provided, or this could be a project of your own choice. All right. Now let me go through the questions. So Momal is asking, do we cover famous vision architectures, ResNet, VGG16, and all others? So we will not cover these architectures in detail. The only architecture which we will talk about in detail will be LXNet, but I think that will give you sufficient background so that you can understand these architectures by yourself. And of course, I think we will cover the key ideas behind these architectures. All right. A question from Sarat: what level of knowledge in linear algebra or math is expected of us? So linear algebra, I think we are going to have one lecture, the first lecture, where you should have the understanding about like matrices, vectors. Okay. And I think if you have good knowledge in high school calculus level, like linear algebra, all that, that should be sufficient. So I hope I answered your question, Sarat. Another question from Sayed: are the students other than computer science, electrical engineering good to go if they have some basic knowledge and experience in Python programming? So it's not just Python. So yeah, it actually depends what kind of experience you have in Python. Because if you have done like basic matrix operations, right, and maybe some algorithms like sorting and all those, then you are good to go. But if your Python is like very basic, then you might have some trouble. But anyways, we are also going to do some tutorials, so that should help you. Okay. So another question from Kasun, I think it's down the same line. I have not taken any computer science course, but I have background in math. I really want to take this course. Will I be able to survive? Right. So I think we are there to help you. And as I said, like we hold TA hours, the office hours, and the TA is there to help you. We also meet outside office hours. And the only thing we want from you is a good experience in coding. But if you don't know coding, then it could be very, very difficult, because we can't teach you coding, right? That takes some time. So if you think you are good in coding, then you are good to go, because other things, these are just conceptual things, right? We can explain and we can discuss, and that will be just fine. But the only bottleneck could be coding. If you don't know coding, it will be very, very hard. So I hope it helps, Kasum. So Matthias, I hope I pronounced that right. Is the final exam cumulative? So yeah, I will come to that about the final exam in the midterm. Julie, he said learn Python. So learn Python. Yeah, I mean, you should know Python. So question from John, will we go over VSLAM or anything similar? So what is VSLAM, John? Can you clarify that?
Like visual, inertial, like the localization and mapping using vision data.
Okay. Localization we won't be covering.
Okay.
Okay. I think the only relevant topic to SLAM will be when we talk about camera modeling, the registration of the images, but that will be just one lecture. Okay. And again, it's not like it's not your localization, but somewhat relevant. So another question from Shah, will we cover classical concepts like SIFT, SOM, SVM? So not all of these, but SIFT, yeah, definitely we will cover. So we are going to cover both classical as well as deep learning concepts. So that's a good question. So that's what we are trying to do in this course, to cover both, which makes it actually hard because we have to cover a lot. I think this is one of the last question from Karthik. Let me try to cover this quickly. So will the homework assignment also be coding? No, homework assignment will be just true, false, fill in the blank, simple questions. There will be no coding in that. Okay. Will the exam and homework questions focus more on theory? So we will talk about these later. So homework question, as I said, will be true, false, simple questions. And again, your midterm and final exam, it will be a mix of both. So we'll have time for to discuss all this. Okay, so let me, the final project, yeah, we're going to talk about that. All right, I think I covered all the questions. If not, you will have to ask it again. Sorry about that. All right. So, okay, so one final project, two programming assignments. That's the only hands-on experience you will have in this course. Grading homeworks, as I said, there will be 10 homeworks, so 10% of the total grade. Programming assignment, two assignments, so 10% for each, total 20%. Midterm and finals, so there will be two written exams, and that will be total 40%. And the project is the maximum, that's 30%. So it will include coding as well as report. So report will include 20% and coding will include 10%. And of course, report is based on like what you did, what kind of results you're showing. So there's some correlation between coding and report as well. So that's why just 10% for coding. Okay, it's not that coding is not important. And so yeah, regarding groups, it's up to you. If you want to do an individual project, perfectly fine. All right, you can work independently as well. But if you want to form groups, that is also fine. But in a group, we will only have a maximum of 5 students. All right, and of course you can have 2, 3, 4, but maximum there will be only 5 students. And this is all up to you. You will have to like collaborate with your classmates, talk to each other, and then form groups. We are not going to enforce anything that, okay, these students fall into one group and these students fall into another group. So we are not going to do that, right? So by default, all students, for us, all students are doing independent projects. It's up to you if you want to form groups. Okay, you will have to let us know. Okay, so question from Katrina, does the scope change if the groups are smaller? And that's a very good question. And that's what we expect from you. If you're working independently, you won't expect a lot from that project, right? So this is actually what we are going to do is we are going to have a discussion one-on-one meeting with all the students, all the groups before you start working on your projects. And then itself we will decide the scope, what will actually be a good project for, let's say, 1 student, what will be a good project for 5 students. Okay, So it will vary a lot. So any other question regarding grading or group projects or midterm final exams? Okay, question from Scott. Is there extra credit available? Table tennis. Sure. I think I can give you maybe 1%, but I highly doubt it you will be able to do that. Okay, so yeah, before the bonus, so homeworks, as I said, it will have, I think at max 5 questions, 5 to 6 questions, I think, and it will vary. And then the questions will be pretty simple. It will be based on the lectures which we have covered like recently. And as I said, there will be like 1 homework per week. Some weeks you won't have any homework, and the questions will be like true, false, or multiple choice, fill in the blanks. So those are simple questions. All right. And again, in midterms, you will see those variations there as well. But some of the questions will be like descriptive. You'll have to like explain the concepts maybe, or it could be like analytical. You'll have to solve something. So it will be a bit harder than your homeworks. And the programming assignment project, will have time to talk about these things later. Okay, so I think a question from Fernando. Will the homework be due at the same time each week, like every Sunday? Yes. So the homework will be released, if there will be a homework, it will be released on Thursday. So that's like after the Thursday's lecture, and it will cover like the lecture we did on Thursday and the lecture we did on Tuesday. And then it will be due on Monday. So every week it will be fixed. Okay. Now regarding grading, so we have observed in the past, sometimes like the assignments are pretty hard, like for the students, they struggle in it, and it mainly happens like in the first programming assignment. So then to catch up like the grading so that you don't score badly in the course, what we can do is we'll have some kind of bonus assignments for you, right? So these bonus will be like on top of what we already discussed, and this bonus can be in 2 different ways. The first is programming assignment, and again we will see like what's the statistics of the whole class. If we see that mean everyone is lagging behind, or if most of the students are lagging behind, then we will release one bonus programming assignment so that you can catch up with the rest of the class. And again, this will be optional. It's up to you if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, perfectly fine. All right. And then we will have pop quizzes like during the lectures. So I will ask like these questions while delivering the lecture, and then you will have to answer the questions like on the chat, and we will evaluate those later on. And again, these will be like graded on top of whatever you get, like whatever we discussed in the previous slide. So for the programming assignment, we will decide like how much worth it will be. But for a pop quizzes, each question will be like worth half of your homework assignment. All right. And we can have multiple pop quizzes like in one day, or we might not have any quiz at all. So it depends lecture to lecture. Now let me explain like the grading criteria in more detail. So the programming assignments and the term project which you will submit, you should have very explanatory and clear comments in the code you're submitting. So if you have a function, you should describe what that function is doing. It should be well commented. All right. And you will also submit a short report for each programming assignment where you will describe like what approach you took and some detailed analysis, what were your results and what did you observe, if some like training failed, why it failed, all those things. So there should be like enough detailed analysis, and then you should have discussion about the results you are getting. All right. So this is like something which we look in all the submissions, and this is something which will grade your code as well as your reports. So programming, we have discussed this. Python is preferred, but you can use any other language as well. Collaboration, we have discussed this, so this is good. Now, regarding expectations, now you have seen like what we expect from you, right? In terms of how you can achieve good grades. But on top of that, what we expect is like you should attend the class lectures regularly, because these will be like more interactive. You can ask questions and clear your doubts. So it will, I think, help you a lot. Then timely submission of homework is really important. If you submit your homework assignment late, there is no like penalty or something. You will straight away get a 0. All right. So be careful about that. And of course, like few minutes is fine. If you submit like 5 minutes late, it's okay, but it should not be too late. Okay, this we already covered. So 5 questions in each homework. This is also good. You already covered. Okay, so this was a question I think earlier. The midterm will be covering like the first half of the course. So all the lectures which we have done until midterm, those will be covered in the midterm. And final exam will not be cumulative. That was the question actually. So it will just cover the second half. So whatever lectures we have not covered in the midterm, they will be there in the final exam. All right. So this as well we have covered. Again, your course project will be graded based on what you submit as a code and the report you will be submitting. Okay, so this is like the detailed schedule we have. The first lecture, then we'll cover basics of linear algebra, talk about image filtering, then we'll go into deep learning. We will give a PyTorch tutorial to you so that you can actually code in deep learning. Then we will talk about edge detection, interest point detection, feature learning, classification. So what we are going to do is all these topics we are going to cover in from both aspects, classical as well as deep learning. All right. And that's the whole point, like we are covering this PyTorch tutorial introduction before these lectures. And this will be like the tentative course for your midterm exam, right until this lecture 9. And the later section will talk about object detection, segmentation, optical flow, action recognition. And again, so for some of these topics, we will cover both classical computer vision as well as deep learning. And finally, we'll have a topic on camera modeling if we have time. So it depends like how it goes. And then the final exam will cover these topics. All right, so we will have a PyTorch tutorial. Then we will also have, we'll not cover this in the course, but what we have is the GPU cluster, which we are giving you access to. We have a video for that, which will, I think, guide you how you can use those GPU clusters. So we will not cover that during the course this week. We'll just provide you the video. You can watch it offline, but we will take any questions you have later on. All right, so that will be sometime around this time when we cover the PyTorch tutorial. So let me see if there's any question regarding this. A question from Katrina: where is the sketch? Where in the schedule are the program assignments and final project? Okay, so the first programming assignment will be due somewhere around this lecture 6, I think. So it's going to cover image filtering and some of this introduction to deep learning. All right, so we will spread it out so that you don't have like very busy schedule. So we'll make sure that when we are releasing the programming assignment, you don't have homework during that week. And similarly, when we are releasing the programming assignment, you don't have midterm. So we'll try to spread it. So basically the idea is the first programming assignment will be somewhere around this region. Okay. And the second programming assignment will be somewhere around this region. And your course project will also start. I think ideally it should start like somewhere before midterm, but around this after midterm is also fine. So in this period, you will have both programming assignment as well as your final course project. So this will be a bit hectic. And the bonus programming assignment, in case we release it, it will be somewhere around this point. All right. So I hope that was clear, Katrina. But of course, I think it will be good if we share the right deadlines for you. Okay, so we'll do that later this week. I think that will help. So okay, it's already 5. Okay, so regarding the feedback, I really like it, and I usually what I do is I ask for feedback like once we are like in middle of the course, but this time I'm going to do it differently. I will ask for feedback right from the beginning, and you are free to share your feedback. What things you are, what things you like, what is which is troubling you. You're having any difficulty. All right, so you can give your feedback, and again, it's up to you. If you want to give anonymous feedback, perfectly fine. If you don't like anything, just say it. We'll take it positively. We'll try to improve it. And for this, I will share a link with you where you can put your feedback. All right, it will be a spreadsheet. And if you want to put your name as well, perfectly fine. Don't want to put your name, that's also fine. We are just interested in the feedback. We just want to improve the course and improve your learning process. All right. So yes, homework 0 will be due this Friday. And this is nothing, this is actually required. This is just administrative. It's required for those students who are actually getting financial aid. So for that, I think we have to define this activity. And if you are getting any financial aid, try to submit it before the deadline. Otherwise, there might be some issue in your financial aid, right? So make sure you submit this on time. And this is just asking you like why you took this, why you are taking this course, and what are your expectations from this course, right? So it's nothing major. So it will be due on Friday, and this week we won't have any other homework. The first homework will be released next Thursday, and as I said, it will be due the following Monday. All right, so before we jump into the lecture, any questions?